currently feel as though I'm in a rather in-between place. I'm preparing to move in a few months' time, but I'm still here right now. I'm trying to finish off everything I need to do here, but I'm also thinking about what the future might hold. Times of transition are hard because it's tempting to hold on to the things that are familiar to us, and it's not always easy to let go and reach out towards something we can't quite see yet. I've seen so many action films where someone is dangling off a cliff, a tall building, or an aeroplane, holding on fiercely with both hands while someone above is telling them to let go and reach out. You can see the internal struggle and then that heart-stopping moment between taking one hand off and grasping the hand of the person who is there to help. I know what things are like here, but I have no idea what they'll be like in London, so I have lots of questions going around in my mind. What will it be like for me and Graham? What are the people like? What are the churches like? I know that people there will have hopes and expectations of me, just as I also have hopes for our future there. In this in-between place where many things are unfamiliar and even familiar things seem a little bit strange, there is still one thing I know with great certainty. I've known ever since I was first called to ordained ministry that my hope, my desire to love and serve God would not let me stay in one place either geographically or metaphorically, but would lead to change and change again, change in me and change around me. Hope and change. These little words actually encapsulate much of what it is to be a Christian. We can look back at those first disciples following Jesus who had great hopes for his messiahship and ministry, only to find themselves struggling with change when they realised that the path Jesus was treading would lead to his death. Hopes were dashed when it seemed that his mission had failed, and it looked for all the world as though Jesus' death marked the end of the new kingdom they were hoping to see. And then the resurrection, the hope reawakened, Jesus not dead but alive. But that would all change again. He wouldn't be staying, but would return to heaven. And then Pentecost, a new hope instilled by the power of the Spirit, and the whole world changed, and still changing now, thousands of miles and thousands of years away from that first almighty outpouring. In our Gospel reading, we've heard part of what might be described as Jesus' parting message to his followers. At this point, before his arrest, Jesus prepares those who love him for life without him physically, but instead for life with him spiritually. The Spirit will teach us and remind us of all that Jesus has said and done. The Spirit will show us how to follow. The Spirit will show us how to live. The Spirit will show us how to love. And what does this mean? To love Christ, to live for him, to follow him means to keep his word, to keep alive his teaching and to put love into action, not just towards God, but towards our neighbours both here and all around the world. And the Spirit will equip us for this task. Today's readings in a clear way seem to span both the earthly and the heavenly realm because alongside Jesus' parting message, we're given a glimpse of a new heaven and a new earth in Revelation, where God gives light and life, a river of living water, the tree of life, peace and healing for all. From hope to change, where this is not a distant dream, but where God is making all things new. Jesus is that point of change. He is the meeting place of heaven and earth. Through his life, death and resurrection, he has bridged the gap that for so long separated us from God. He has destroyed the old order. Jesus embodied this for our sake, and throughout his life there are times when this meeting place becomes a thin place, and we're given a glimpse of heaven breaking through on earth. At his birth, the angels sang. At his baptism, the Spirit descended from heaven like a dove. At his transfiguration, he is caught up in the Spirit with Moses and Elijah. Angels again are here to greet him, risen from the tomb, and finally at his ascension, Jesus passes through that thin place, to take his place, the Lamb at the centre of the throne, the shepherd of his people, and he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, from death to life and beyond, from hope to change. As we hear that great description in Revelation, it reminds us just how far away we seem to be from that new heaven and earth. We see a wonderful picture of the not yet for us anyway. When nations, communities and even families are at war, when people die because food is scarce, and they lack access to clean, life-giving water, we know that there is a gap between the now and the not yet. And as Christians, we have a great responsibility to stand in that in-between place, to work to help God's kingdom break through so that eternal life becomes a present reality. Being in the in-between is not easy. It's not easy to see on the one side the now and on the other the not yet, and to occupy that space between them. But this is one of the tensions of being a Christian. We know what this world is like. We live in this world. We are connected to it through a network of physical needs and relationships. But we know too that there is a different way, that we are different, that we may live in the now, but with our eyes fixed on Christ and in anticipation of the life to come. And so the not yet should have a profound impact on our life in the here and now. Sometimes we might feel uncertain. We might wonder where God is and what on earth God is doing. Sometimes we might reassure others who are struggling with the gap. And at other times it is they who will speak reassurance to us. But the gap, the in-between, is our place, our space to be. And not just to be, but to act. We don't just stand there watching helplessly, worrying that the gap might be getting bigger and the not yet seems more remote than ever from our experience of life in the now. Our task is the opposite, to work and serve and draw together the edges of that gap in anticipation of that day when all things will be made new. We are to look at the world with new vision. We are to put on and never take off our God-tinted spectacles that enable us to see the world around us through Christ's eyes and with his self-giving, sacrificial, extravagant, never-ending love. We are not just to hope, though hope is infinitely important, but we must actively seek change and work to see it happen. Martin Luther King Jr. famously said, "I have a dream." His dream was of a fairer world where racial injustice would be a thing of the past, where his children would be judged not by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character. But he didn't just dream it, did he? His dream made him get up, speak up, stand up and be counted, from hope to change. The gospel shows us a new way of following Jesus that is not just about listening, but also about doing. And it's not about doing in our strength, because we know that to follow Jesus, to love him and keep his commands is impossible on our own. We need the help of the Spirit, and we're given that help, challenging us, inspiring us, guiding us, opening our eyes, making us uncomfortable and dissatisfied with the status quo, spurring us to action and helping us to aim for that new world, free of pain and suffering here and now. Victor Hugo once said that there is nothing more powerful in all the world than an idea whose time has come. Surely the time is right for our idea, our vision of a world free from injustice, hatred and poverty to come to pass. Has not our time come? We catch a glimpse of that time coming when we look at organisations such as Christian Aid and hear stories of individuals and groups who have a vision for change and work to make it real. They have helped to draw the edges of the gap a little bit closer together. Some of those characteristics of heaven are bursting through on earth for people who for too long have struggled without them. Improved health, better nutrition, access to clean water. Not yet on the full scale of the abundance of heaven, but we can see it happening nonetheless. If as Christians we are about abundant living, if we believe Jesus when he spoke about fullness of life, this is what it's about in part. It's not just about hoping for a better world, but about actively changing the world, moving from vision to reality, helping people live fuller lives. May the Spirit help us to know how to play our part in this great work of loving as Christ loves us. May our vision burst open to see God's glory made manifest on earth. May we receive strength and courage to stand in between, to hold in tension the now and the not yet, and to work to bring them together. May we be moved from hope to change, and may Christ bring about his change in us, through us, and if need be, despite us. Amen.